Just pretend this movie didn't fucking happen. It's fucking trash.
Can't say that I'm ambitious, I just get shit done. I'm better than everyone, I know I'm better.
Hello and welcome to my video. My name is JJ and I like to tell stories basically about movies that I've seen, video games, books, TV shows, whatever, kind of media I've absorbed. I like to just kind of break those down, give good little summaries of them to people that haven't seen them, or people that have seen them. They just enjoy the way I tell stories. This kind of started in my office. I did this a few times with a few different things, and a lot of people liked it. They told me, hey, you should record that sometime. And I figured since the Fast 9 trailer dropped today, it'd be a great time to record one of the favorites around the office, which is me telling Fast and the Furious. And this is me. I'm going to go through the first Fast and the Furious, the first 8 Fast and the Furious movies. I'm not going to do Hobbs and Shaw. For those who don't know who Hobbs and Shaw are or what that movie is, don't worry. I'm going to at least explain who those two characters are, why the movie's, so you'll be able to understand why there's a movie called Hobbs and Shaw. It's nothing against the movie. I didn't have a problem with it. I just don't think it really fits into what I'm trying to tell right now. So I'm going to start, obviously, with the first Fast and the Furious, and we're going to just work through them. And after this is done, if you have any suggestions, any other movies or kind of media that you think, you'd like to hear me tell sometime, let me know. If it's something that I feel comfortable telling, something that I've seen and I know as well as I know some of these other movie series and trilogies or video games, whatever, maybe you'll see it sometime. So we're going to get started. Fast and the Furious. Opens up, there's 3 Honda Civics. They're driving down the highway. There's a semi-truck. You see these Honda Civics, they've all got neon lights going. Clearly these are racers. They're swerving all around the truck. I mean, they're doing crazy shit. They're driving under the fucking truck. I've never seen a semi-truck lifted that high. But for a movie, it looks cool. And a car's driving under it. They hit basically it breaks down to one lane. So they had to do it. And then they get out. And then they wind up shooting a harpoon through the windshield. Pull it out, go in, hijack the truck. They steal a bunch of DVD players because that's what you did back then. We didn't have Blu-ray players or, digital media. It was like, oh, let's get these DVD players. They're worth a fucking shit ton. And whatever, man. But, so here we go. They steal the truck. Well, then it cuts to Paul Walker, a.k.a. Brian Earl Spillner, a.k.a. Brian, oh shit, I'm not going to spoil that yet. So he's driving a Mitsubishi Eclipse. It's neon green. It stands out. It looks really fucking cool. My sister used to drive an Eclipse, so I was like, oh, that's a really cool car. He's driving. Just like, okay, I don't know what's going on, but he's driving really fast. And then he stops. He hits the steering wheel. He's all pissed off. I was like, damn it! Okay, so he assumes something didn't go the way he expected it to go. Then it cuts to him driving to in a pickup truck to a place called Toretto's, which has a little diner in there. It's a small little grocery store. Mia Toretto's in there, played by Jordana Brewster. She's, running the counter. And then, Paul Walker's looking in the back. And then Vin Diesel's back there. And his, Dom Toretto is his name in the movie. And then, his sister's like, you need anything, Dom? He's like, oh, I got a Coke. And then Paul Walker's looking at the menu. He's like, what's good here? She's like, man, you order the same thing every time. A tuna with no crust. It was bad yesterday. Bad the day before that. Guess what? It's going to be bad today. Paul Walker's like, yeah, I'll have the tuna. No crust. So then it cuts to outside. Here come all these racers coming up. Michelle Rodriguez, a.k.a. Letty. And then a bunch of people, I don't even remember their names, but it's Vince, Leon, and Jesse. Sorry. And they're all pulling up, and Vince goes, hey, Jesse, man, something ain't right here, man. And then, Jesse's like, it's because, your timing's off on your car or some shit. Don't worry, we'll fix it. You'll be running 9s in no time, which is a reference to running, 9, basically, there's a big theme in the movie of 10-second cars. So they drive quarter miles. They always want to go 10 seconds. So Paul Walker finishes the sandwich. He's leaving. Everybody's mad. Like, who was this guy here? And Letty's like, oh, he's just slinging parts for Harry. And then Vince is like, I know what he's slinging. And then Leon's like, yo, he's trying to get in me his pants, dog. And then Vince is like, nah, I'm not having that, and then he's all upset. And then Paul Walker's like, I'll see you tomorrow, Mia. Vince is like, son of a bitch. He starts following him, and Leon's sitting inside. He goes, I love this part. And then Vince is like, hey, man, why don't you go to that burger place? And he calls him, a homophobic slur. He's like, you can get, burger and fries for $5. And then Paul Walker's like, nah, I like the tuna here. And Vince is like, bullshit, asshole. No one likes the tuna here. Paul Walker's like, well, I do. And then they get into a fight. And they're beating the shit out of each other. And everybody else is inside. Knowing this was going to happen. But now they're all surprised that the fucking fight happened. And they're like, hey, Dom, can you stop this? We're tired of this. And Dom's like looking at it. He's like, damn. Skinny white dude's fighting, Vince and actually holding his own. He's like, what'd you put in the sandwich? And he's like, come on, man. So Dom goes out there, breaks him up, and then Paul Walker's still ready to fight, man. And then Vin Diesel's like, dude, you better back up. And Paul Walker's like, I don't want no smoke, man. Man, he was in my face. And Vin Diesel's like, well, I'm in your face. Paul Walker's like, I mean, that's true. And then Vin Diesel grabs Will's like, oh, you're Brian Earl Spillner, huh? That sounds like a serial killer name. Are you a serial killer? And of course, Paul Walker's like, no, I'm not a serial killer. What the fuck's that? And then he's like, well, don't come around here anymore. And then Paul Walker's like, man, this is bullshit. And then Vin Diesel's like, oh, you work for Harry? And he's like, yeah. He's like, nope, you were just fired. So Paul Walker goes to Harry's. It's an auto parts shop, right? And he's like, Harry, man, what's up? And Harry's like, dude, you gotta chill, Brian. Like, Toretto races, it's gold, and everybody comes in here, they give me money. And, Brian's like, well, what did you tell him? I told him good help is hard to find. And Brian's like, okay, good. Can we put NOS in my car? Harry's like, you want to put NOS in your car? Like, you have a lead foot. This is a bad idea. And, Paul Walker's like, it's not a bad idea. Trust me. I know what I'm doing. And Harry's like, I guess we have to do it for some reason, but I'm not going to spoil that yet. So anyways, cuts to later that night. There's a street race going on. And Paul Walker's there with his car, and he's just sitting there. He's just got this big shit-eating grin on his face. And this guy named Hector walks up. He's like, hey, man, what you got there? And Paul Walker's like, He's like, oh, you're going to make me work for it. Paul Walker's like, you know it. You're dangerous, but I like you. He's like, what's your name? He's like, my name's Brian. He's like, typical white boy name. I'm Hector. I got a last name too, but I can't pronounce it. And then they're talking about the car, and then Ja Rule walks up and is like, murder, life ain't a game, whoa. He's trying to give all this, knowledge about racing to Paul Walker. He's like, it's not how you stand by your car, it's how you race your car. Trust me, I'm a street racer. And then they're all bullshitting, and then Dom pulls up, and everybody's like, oh shit, it's on. And, they're all sitting there and they're talking about racing. And then they're trying to get set up. And they've only got like 4 racers, excuse me. They got Toretto, Hector. No, actually, Hector's not racing. I was wrong. It's 4 racers. Jeez. Hector's going to hold the money because he's too slow to get away. Ja Rule's going to race. Some random Asian guy that they don't even fucking give a name to. But he's got a video game system in his car for some reason. And then Paul Walker says, yeah, I'll race. So we're like, well, it's a 2G buy-in. And Paul Walker, who has this car that's clearly worth more than $2,000, is like, well, how about the pink slip to my car? Because for me, respect is way more important than that obvious expensive car. Of course, everybody's like, all right, whatever, we'll take your fucking car. And they get on the line. Paul Walker, he actually drives past the line, and everybody just looks over, and they're just, what are you doing, man? You're fucking shit up. And then Leon's on the microphone, on the walkie-talkie. He's like, we got a 187 in Glendale. We good to roll. It's like, all right, so they're going to race. They're doing it. They're 2G buy-in, baby. Here we go. So they, boom, they race. They're going. Of course, Ja Rule is fucking finishing last. He's the he's the worst racer there after all the shit he talked. Paul Walker's actually winning the race. Now remember, this is supposed to be a 10-second race, right? It's a quarter mile. Somehow this race takes like 10 minutes, okay? And this is the scene that all my friends that used to race cars, this is the one scene of the movie that ticks them off the most. Because shit just starts flying off Paul Walker's car. Doesn't make any sense. I mean, the fucking floorboard on the right side of the car, just on the passenger side, poof, just falls out. It's like, what? Paul Walker's sitting there on a laptop, and the laptop is telling him, no, don't put any more NOS in. And he's like, shut up, laptop! And he shuts the laptop, and he's firing more NOS in the car, and his car's about to fucking explode. And Vin Diesel's like, this fucking guy really thinks he's gonna win. Vin Diesel hits a little button on his car, and the NOS that was hiding under his seat, that clearly Vin Diesel knows how to fucking use properly. Fires off, Vin Diesel wins, Paul Walker comes in second, and, they're all at the finish line. Paul Walker basically spins out because his car is trash, and Vin Diesel's like, all right, man, what's the deal? Why are you smiling? Because Paul Walker's standing by his car. He's like, dude, I almost had you. And Diesel's like, you never had me. You never had your car. Oh, everybody there's talking shit now. And, oh, man, poor Paul Walker, man, you just got this. And Vin Diesel's just going on saying, ask any real racer. Any real racer. It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning is winning. They pop the hood, looking at her like, oh, my God, this is so cool. And then the cops just come out of nowhere. And everybody just they exit, right? While Paul Walker drives off, Vin Diesel's like, okay, I'm driving off. And he goes and he parks his car up at a fucking parking garage. And then he just starts walking home like, oh, this is fine. He puts on his little jacket, he's walking. And then this cop car pulls up, he's like, Toretto! And Vin Diesel's like, no, bullshit. He starts running. And I'm telling you, Vin Diesel, he runs slower than shit in this movie. I don't know if that's just how he actually runs, but this man is not an athlete. So he's running, and then Paul Walker goes, pulls up in his car that somehow can still fucking drive despite everything in the engine exploding. He's like, hey, get in. And Vin Diesel's like, all right, I'll get in. And then they're driving. Vin Diesel's holding the oh shit handle. They're swerving through cop cars. And then, they get away. And then all of a sudden these dudes on motorcycles pull up. And, they're kind of waving. Vin Diesel's like, hey, you better pull over. Paul Walker's like, wow, what's going on? He's like, it's about to be a long fucking night. So they pull over. And, these guys come out. It's Johnny Tran and his cousin Lance, I think is his name, who likes to wear fucking leather pants that look like leopards and shit. And they're like, hey, man, why are you in our neighborhood? And Vin Diesel's like, oh, man, we got lost, man. It was just a weird situation. Sorry. He's like, I thought we had agreement. You stay away. I stay away. Everybody just stays away from each other. Vin Diesel's like, man, we got lost. What do you want me to say? It's like, all right. It's like, I'll see you at the desert. By the way, whose car is that? And, Paul Walker is like, well, it was mine, but it's his now. And Vin Diesel's like, I didn't take delivery on that. And then they're like, oh, it's nobody's car. And they drive off, and they're like, oh, we'll see you later. And then they come back around, start shooting machine guns into the fucking car. Car has a flame coming out. It's green. And Vin Diesel goes, nice! Car blows up. There goes a fucking expensive-ass motherfucking car that was beautiful, which is probably for the best because otherwise the cops would have obviously found this bright green car. They already know it was Toretto. Now there's a bright green car. It's going to be easy to find him. So the car blowing is probably the best thing that happened for everybody. So they wind up getting back, to Vin Diesel's house. There's a party going on. Vin Diesel's furious, right? Because he walks in and is like, how did these guys leave me? And, it's a fair question. What's going on? So Vin Diesel walks up and grabs everybody's Corona. And that's important. Because you'll see later on, Corona is very important to Vin Diesel. So he grabs his Coronas, he walks up to Paul Walker, and he's like, you can have any beer you want, as long as it's a Corona. Paul Walker grabs one. Vin Diesel goes, that's Vince's, so enjoy it. So Paul Walker wipes it off with his shirt and just drinks it. Just male dominance over Vince. Just eyeballs him. And Vince is like, what the fuck, man? Like, you brought the Buster here? And then Vin Diesel's like, the Buster kept me out of handcuffs. The Buster brought me back. He didn't just run back to the fort. And they start arguing, and he's like, man, there was a time when I didn't know you, Vince. And Vince is like, that was in the 3rd grade. We go back, But, it's whatever. It comes to the next day. Now Vin Diesel and Paul Walker are cool. So Paul Walker shows up, Vin Diesel's shop, with his car. It's a piece of shit. And they're like, we said a 10-second car, not a 10-minute car. And it's like, well, the last race was fucking 10 minutes, dude. But all right. And then they're like, man, you can't even push that across the line. Maybe tow it. And Vin Diesel's like, nah, you couldn't even tow that. It's like, pop the hood. Pop the hood. Pop the hood. And they open up the hood. Like, oh, shit. This is a badass car. And then Vin Diesel's like, hey, man, whenever you're not at Harry's, you're here. If you can't find the tool to fix that, you don't belong in a fucking car garage. Mia walks up and she's like, he owns you now. And there's a weird sex montage with Letty and Dom, and all this other shit's going on. Paul Walker gets arrested. You're like, oh shit, what happened? And then the cops take him to this fucking hidden house out in Hollywood Hills or some shit. And they're like, hey, you're undercover. Brian O'Connor. There's the spoiler. Brian's a cop. And they think that Vin Diesel, even if he's not the one pulling these robberies on semi-trucks, which somehow stealing DVD players is worth millions of fucking dollars, they think, oh, even if he's not doing it, he knows who's doing it because they know it's racers doing it because of the tires on the Honda Civics. So now Paul Walker, he's working, for forever, right? He's working for all these, working for Vin Diesel, getting cars. Vin Diesel's like, yeah, man, let's get this car ready. And then they're sitting there and basically Paul Walker starts breaking into all these various shops. He's trying to find the matching tires for the car. Well, Vin Diesel and Vince, track him down. Bam! Vince hits him with shotguns like he moans like a cop. And Vin Diesel's like, what are you doing, man? Paul Walker's like, I can't lose again, man. It's about race wars. Hector's running these 3 cars, man. He came into Harry's, he ordered this, and now he's got that going on. And Vin Diesel's like, what, you're going to break into everybody's garage just checking everybody's shit out? And he's like, yeah. So then they go to the trans place. And the trans brings some guy in. They start pumping oil in his fucking mouth. And they're like, give me the engines. We got no engines in this car. And the guy just winds up giving him the fucking engines. So then it, cuts, basically Paul Walker takes back the info about the trans, and then, they, some more racing, some shit's going on. And then basically the cops decide we're going to raid the fucking trans because, these guys are psychos. They obviously tried to murder a guy just to get free engines. And you said you saw DVDs in their shop. And Paul Walker's like, all we have is bad behavior. And they're like, nah, we're moving forward with this. And then they, he's like, man, you shouldn't do it. And Paul Walker's on a date with Mia. They go to some Cuban place, which is literally just to spite Vince because Vince wanted to take her there. But she was like, fuck you, Vince. Won't you take me? Paul Walker takes her. They have a great time. They hook up. He gets a phone call. Raid's going down tomorrow. For some reason, Paul Walker has to go on the raid. Put him in a face mask. He goes. He helps with the fucking raid. Turns out the DVD players are all legit, right? So they got nothing. And Paul Walker's like, you can't blame me. And the FBI guy's like, yeah, we can. I work for the FBI. It's perks of the job. But I'm going to be way cooler in the sequel. But, so that goes on. Finally, Paul Walker gets his car going. He races. He beats some dude. Vin Diesel gives him direction to race wars after Paul Walker basically says, I know you're stealing shit. Why don't you bring me in? Basically almost blows his cover. And Vin Diesel's like, no, you need to make some money for me racing. So they go to race wars. Letty wins a race against some guy who's trying to hit on her. And she's like, you want to ask, go to Hollywood Boulevard, man. You want a adrenaline rush? $2,000. And the guy's like, that's nothing. It's like, how do all these motherfuckers got $2,000 just sitting around? I don't have $2,000 just sitting around for a fucking car race. Letty beats him, and then Paul Walker shows up. Jesse's going to race, and he's going to race one of the trans for pink slips with his dad's car. And Paul Walker's like, you can't bet your dad's car. And Jesse's like, I'll win. And then me and my dad will ride together. This guy's running a Honda 2000. And then Paul Walker's like, dude, he's got like $100,000 under that hood. And Jesse's like, uh-huh. And then Jesse loses the race. And he just drives off because he realizes, whoops, I just lost my dad's car in a fucking race that everybody told me not to fucking race in. But whatever. He drives off, and Leon runs up and is like, yo, Dom, we got a problem. Dom's like, what happened? And, Leon tells him he just raced Tran for slips. And then he goes, oh, shit. Tran walks up, he's like, hey, go fetch my car. And Vin Diesel's like, we're not on your block anymore. You better watch who you talk to like that. And then Johnny Tran's like, hey man, SWAT broke into my house and shit, and you're a narc. Vin Diesel's like, nah, you can't call me a narc. Boom, pops the dude. They fight, whatever. Jesse's still gone. That night, later, Paul Walker's staring out and Mia's arguing with Dom. And she's like, don't go. He's like, come on, I'm doing this for us. She's like, no, I'm doing it for you. So Dom, it turns out, is the one stealing all the shit. He goes with the crew. They all decide to go fucking rob the semi. And then, Paul Walker walks up to Mia. He's like, whoa, come on, man. I'm a cop. We got to stop them because truckers are going to, they're going crazy. They're starting to arm themselves. They're going to kill somebody. Maybe not this one, maybe they're okay, but the next one. Eventually, something bad's going to happen. So she's like, okay, fine. I'll help you. Of course, obviously, this is foreshadowing because they're driving. Here they go. Here's Vin Diesel and his crew. They're like, we shouldn't do this without Jesse. And they're like, I know, but we'll be all right because Jesse's just the nerd of the group anyways. 3 cars, 4 drivers. We're good. Now, that was a mistake. So Vince, same as the beginning of the movie, puts the harpoon through the windshield. He climbs up on the car, and this trucker just has a shotgun. He's shooting, and I mean, this trucker is like got the best fucking aim I've ever seen for a guy shooting a shotgun one-handed at fucking moving cars because he's just blowing everybody's fucking cars out. Shoots, Letty's car. She does a flip. Vin Diesel's like, Vinny, go back for it. He's like, I'm on it. Go get Vince. And then Vin Diesel gets his car shot. Fucking engine's dead. And then Paul Walker goes in the Supra. And then, he jumps on the truck, saves Vince. They go back. And then Vin Diesel basically sitting there. He's checking on Letty. And then here comes Paul Walker with Vince. And then Paul Walker he makes a phone call. He's like, hey, this is a cop. I'm a cop. Man, I got a guy going into shock. I need a helicopter. We need immediate evac. So Vin Diesel grabs Mia and everybody else. And they just fucking flee. Leon and Letty, they just leave. They go to Mexico. They're getting the fuck out. They're bouncing. Paul Walker goes to Vin Diesel's house. Vin Diesel comes out with a shotgun. He's like, move your car. Paul Walker's got a little pea shooter gun. He's like, come on, man. I can't do this, man. I'm a cop. I gotta arrest you, man. I didn't call the cops, but put the gun down. And Vin Diesel's like, I gotta go find Jesse, man. They're gonna kill him. And Paul Walker's like, look, man, I'll put an APB on the plates, man. The police will find him first. And then Jesse pulls up. So Vin Diesel just throws his gun. He's like, all right, look, my boy's here. We're good. The trans ain't having that. They pull up. They start shooting. Paul Walker's like, oh, shit. Vin Diesel's like, oh, shit. And Jesse's like, huh? And he gets shot. And he's dead. He's not going to make it to the sequel. Sorry, it's just not happening. So he's dead. Vin Diesel's climbing over the yard despite the gunshots because he knows he's trying to get to Jesse. And, but it's too late. Jesse's dead. And, Paul Walker has this moment where he's like, do I go after these 2 guys for murder or do I get this guy for robbing a truck? And he decides that he's going to go after the 2 guys for murder. So he's driving after them in the Supra. They're on, crotch rockets, driving, shooting Uzis. Vin Diesel gets in his fucking car that he's terrified of because his dad's the one who drove it. But his dad fucking crashed in the car. Vin Diesel's like, I don't like this car. But he's like, I'm going to drive in this car. So they kill both the trans. And then they wind up at a train stop, or at a stoplight. And Vin Diesel's like, it's exactly a quarter mile, to the train. When the light turns, I'm going. So here's a train's coming. They're racing. Basically, Vin Diesel is not going to go back. He'd been to jail before. Basically, as I alluded to before, his dad died in a car wreck at a track. Vin Diesel beat the guy who killed him, essentially with a wrench. Now the guy has to take a bus to work every day, and he's messed up. Vin Diesel went to jail for 2 years, so he refuses to go back. So he's willing to die racing because that's when he's the most alive, right? So here comes the fucking train. They're racing. It's another fucking 10-minute race for 10 seconds, but difference is Paul Walker hits the nos at the right time, and he beats Vin Diesel by an inch. Vin Diesel looks over and just gives him a grin. He's like, you got it, man. You beat me by an inch. Because winning's winning, right? Well, Vin Diesel, because he took his eyes off the road, you'd think an experienced racer would know better, especially after he was just driving that fast. Hits a car, does a few flips, crashes. Paul Walker goes up to check on him. Vin Diesel's like, I didn't expect that to happen. And Paul Walker hands him the keys to his car and says, I owe you a 10-second car. Movie ends. And then Vin Diesel says, I don't want to come back for a sequel. So we cut to Fast and the Furious 2, where Paul Walker is now a fugitive, right? Because obviously he just let the DVD thief go. And if you actually watch the ending credits of the original movie, Vin Diesel makes it to Mexico. So they're all in Mexico, away from everybody. Everybody's happy except Paul Walker, who is now a fugitive, who's now living in Miami making his money by racing. So he's he's there. He gets a call from, now they got Ludacris because Ja Rule obviously couldn't reprise his role. I don't know, something about needing more money, but we obviously know Ludacris is better. I mean, Ja Rule sucks, right? Eminem ended his career. We all know this. So here we go. Ludacris actually hosts races in the town. So, we've got 3 racers. They need a 4th, or Ludacris is like, nah, we're not gonna have a race, man. And then like, can you get somebody? He's like, I can get anybody I want. You guys aren't gonna complain. Like, no, we want a race tonight. Anybody? Yeah, man, we just want a race. All right, so he calls Paul Walker. He's like, all right, man, I'll be right there, man. Is money good? He's like, yeah, the money's good. These guys, they're gonna pay you. And Ludacris has a big afro in this movie. So here we go. Paul Walker shows up, and everybody goes, oh shit, it's Brian. We just lost our money. So here they go. They're racing. Fucking, Ludacris. It's not a 10-second race. It's a race around the fucking city. Ludacris has control of the bridges and shit. A bridge pops up. Paul Walker ramps off of the bridge, beats somebody, and then he winds up finishing winning the race. But then police, they swarm the area. They shoot a thing into his car. It short circuits his car. They arrest him. He's like, oh shit. They take him in. He's in deep shit. And then they're like, nah, but we actually need you for some undercover work. And he's like, what are you talking about? It's like, well, we're trying to get this drug dealer, and, you used to be a cop, so you can help us. And we have an undercover with him. We need help, whatever. He's like, all right, I'll think about it. Like, well, it's that or go to jail. He's like, okay, I'll do it. But, what are the stipulations? Like, well, you got to work with this fucking guy over here. And he's like, well, I don't know. Let's run a test. Do you use a Gallo 24 or a Gallo 48 in your car? And the guy goes, Gallo 48. He's like, really? Because that's a pizza cup. It's a soft drink cup from a pizza place. He's like, I can't do it with this guy. And you got to let me pick the guy. And they're like, okay, you got somebody in mind? He's like, yeah, I do. Okay, let's go get that guy. So him and black FBI agent from the first movie, who was like, oh, it's perks of the job. I get to be a dick to you. He goes with him, but he's all cool in this movie. He's like, I'm all smiles this movie. You can do whatever the hell you want, man. So they go to this demolition derby, and, Tyrese is there, and he's, he goes by Roman Pierce in the movie. He's just driving, crashing cars. He's just demolishing people. And then, Paul Walker decides to walk up, talk to Rome, and he tells the FBI agent, he's like, hey, man, don't interfere, man. I got this. The FBI agent's like, yo, man, this is all you. I'm just here. I don't, it's cool. Paul Walker's like, Rome! He's like, only my friends call me Rome. And I'm the tough black guy in this movie because we couldn't get Vin Diesel back. It's like, okay. What does that have to do? Well, because later I'm going to be the comic relief because I'm not as tough as Vin Diesel, obviously. And The Rock's going to come in later, and who's going to buy me as the tough guy, right? It's a fucked up situation. I get it, man. But anyway, they get into a fight. Paul Walker's like, man, you still fight like a bitch. And Rome's like, I'm going to kick your ass. And they're trading blows. And then they walk up talking to the FBI guy. And they're like, is this offer legit? And they're like, he's like, yeah, it's legit. And then he's like, hey, you have an ankle monitor. How are you at this demolition derby? He goes, what do you think my RV's over there? So they wind up, they get the ankle monitor off, take him down to Florida with them, and they're like, all right, you're undercover now. So they basically, they've got criminal records, so it works. They're able to, infiltrate, get into they have a race to see who's going to work for this drug dealer, right? Ava Mendez is kind of like the lieutenant. She organizes the race. She's like, oh yeah, these guys are legit. So she's the undercover, right? They're racing. I mean, they're all driving down the highway, and like Paul Walker and Tyrese, they're clearly better drivers than everybody else there, right? They're just driving around, doing crazy shit on the highway, driving backwards and flipping each other off. Like, oh, you like that, Rome? And Rome's like, oh, you crazy, Paul Walker? So then they drive, they go to the shipyard, they get this package from a car that was impounded, and they take it back to the drug dealer. So they pass the test. Turns out it's just a cigar in the damn thing. So it was just a test. And he's the drug dealer like, you think I would let the cops impound my car? You fucking idiot. But then, Rome tries to steal from him. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, man. We hungry. He's like, that's fine. But you know what? You better not fucking steal from me again. And they're working. And Paul Walker's like, man, what the fuck is that? Then they get back to the FBI headquarters, and now remember, when all this happened and they were trying to do the race, the FBI actually interfered because they thought Paul Walker and Rome were running. So he's like, why'd you shoot at me, Tyrese? And Tyrese is like, bitch, I was just putting on a show. And Paul Walker's like, if he wanted you dead, you'd be dead. And he puts down his gun. So, now the FBI and the cops, they know, like, hey, these two guys, they're not bad guys. They are working with us, but we still don't fucking trust them because they both have guns, right? So here we go. they're still working undercover. Basically what happens is they wind up getting into a race where for pink slips with two other guys to get their cars because they don't trust their cars because they're bugged by the FBI. They have the whole plan of how they're going to steal the money. Turns out that it's all fucking bullshit. They get lied to. They're told because the FBI, this drug dealer doesn't trust anybody. So now that they know they're going to the wrong place, so they steal all the money, but they're actually going. They thought they were going to an airport because that's what Eva Mendes told them. Nope, they're not going to an airport. They're supposed to be going to a dock. So now they know that, oh, geez, somebody ratted on us. Well, they use NOS canisters to make ejection seats in their car. So Tyrese goes, ejecto-cito, cuz! Because apparently if you add the word O to anything, you get Spanish. Dude's out the fucking car, right? Tyrese is like, oh, I'm driving. It works, buddy! Let's go, man! Paul Walker tries it, doesn't fucking work. But he also finds out that, whoops, we're going to the wrong place. So Paul Walker's like, I can't eject this guy because I got to go save Eva Mendes, right? So they catch the guy at the end of the movie. It's a happy story. It's not as good as the first movie. So let's just be honest. This is basically just kind of a, hey, look, we're the criminals who are good guys trying to take down the bad guys. They take them down, and then, but they manage to steal some money from the guy, so they give all this other money to the FBI guys. Like, hey, you guys, your records are clear. We're good. And then they're like, we ain't hungry no more. Movie ends. Go to Fast and the Furious 3 Tokyo Drift. Fuck this movie. It's fucking white savior bullshit. Oh, it's country boy who can't fucking act, who literally cannot break his southern accent for any goddamn role. Alright? He always plays hillbilly. So he goes to Japan because he gets into some shit racing in America. So he goes to live with his dad, who for some reason lives in Japan. While he's in Japan, he decides he wants to hit on the only other American girl there, who happens to be dating a nephew of a fucking triad member. He makes friends with Bow Wow, who I think was still Lil Bow Wow when the movie was made. Makes friends with a guy named Han, who is actually really fucking cool. Maybe the coolest part of the movie. He dies in the fucking movie. Spoiler for the future movies. I'm just going to go and tell you, because somehow this throws a whole fucking time loop and all the goddamn movies that I still haven't fucking figured out. I mean, it's pretty simple, but it's also not simple, because apparently this movie takes place like 10 years in the future, based on future movies. It's confusing as shit. Just pretend this movie didn't fucking happen. It's fucking trash. It ends with fucking the white guy beating the Asian guy. White savior. Woo! Tokyo Drift. I'm the Drift King. Donkey Kong, motherfucker. And then Vin Diesel shows up at the end and goes, I'll race your ass. And Vin Diesel winds up beats him in a race. But it cuts out before Vin Diesel beats him in the race. So then we get to Fast and the Furious 4. Just called Fast and Furious. And, they figured out what works in these movies. Let's get Vin Diesel driving a car fucking fast. Let's get some, we can bring drug dealers and shit in, but it's really, we gotta have racing. We can make it more of a heist kind of movie, but it's still about Paul Walker and Vin Diesel and their relationship. And that's where we go. So we cut to the movie. It starts out, it cuts down into Brazil. I think it's Brazil. No, it's some South American country. Fuck, I don't even remember what country they're in. Anyways, they're robbing fucking gas trucks, They're still robbing trucks. Like, guys, you got away with it. You got out of America after robbing DVD trucks. Alright? Maybe stop robbing trucks. Han's with them, who died in the last movie, which is where it gets fucking confusing. So here's Han, here's two other guys. They rob the truck. Vin Diesel does some cool shit with the truck exploding and rolling over. He manages to drive and get away. And then Vin Diesel realizes, like, oh shit, me and Letty are going to get busted again because they had like a whole garage that got raided. So he leaves Letty in the middle of the night. So Letty goes back to America, back to Mia. Apparently she's not wanted anymore. I don't know how the fuck this happened because Vin Diesel's still a wanted criminal, but it's fine. Letty dies. So, Vin Diesel's got to come back. Well, Paul Walker is now working for the FBI. So Paul Walker, just to break down his history through the movies, you learn in the first movie, he had a juvie record. He was in trouble with Roman Pierce all the time, right? So you learned that through two movies. Then he was a cop. Then he was an outlaw. Now he's a fucking FBI agent. Only in a movie can somebody have this kind of fucking, career path, right? Because there's no way I couldn't even work for the fucking FBI. And I don't even have a fucking record. All right? But anyways, Paul Walker's working for the FBI. He's trying to figure out who killed Letty. He's trying to track it down. So he's trying to catch this guy named Braga. You know, well, to drive for Braga, you've got to get into a street race. So he finds the street race. You know, Vin Diesel is also trying to track down Letty's killer. So they both wind up at the same garage trying to find this guy. They both find the races. They're both, you know, they kind of cross paths. All of a sudden now Vin Diesel's back. And the FBI's like, well, we want to catch Vin Diesel. And Paul Walker's like, wait, don't we want to catch the drug dealer, you know, who runs the cartel? And they're like, oh, good point, Paul Walker. So Paul Walker and Vin Diesel are both in this street race. They both need to win, you know, essentially to make it into the organization. So they're racing. Paul Walker goes off the wrong fucking way. He winds up, you know, he's got a GPS in his car, like, rerouting. He's like, shut up! You know, same with the fucking laptop in the first movie. It's giving him bad directions. He catches back up to Dom. They get down. They're just driving all over the city. They get to the last quarter mile, and they're driving. Paul Walker's about to beat him again. And Vin Diesel's like, you dumbass. Bumps his car. And then Paul Walker runs up and says, hey, man, at least we know you can't beat me straight up. And Vin Diesel's like, I didn't know this was a street race, you stupid dumbass. And then, you know, everybody's like, get the fuck out of here, Paul Walker. You lost. Paul Walker's like, man, it's bullshit. But he leaves. And then this other guy's like talking shit to him. You know, he's like, hey, man, I'm wearing a cowboy hat, but I'm fucking a junkie or some shit. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing out here, but I drive a Mustang, and I'm just here to tell you that American muscle always beats an import. Paul Walker's like, whatever, bitch. You know, and then Paul Walker just starts smiling. So then they go arrest this guy. They plant drugs on him, and like somebody, you know, who's with Paul Walker goes, you know that's not going to stick, right? He's like, yeah, it's not supposed to. So they're planting drugs just so the guy gets away with having drugs on him. So Paul Walker can fill the guy's spot in the race. So Paul Walker's in the race now. Him and Vin Diesel are at the party. They talk about their history, you know, a little bit. They're talking to, you know, Braga's lieutenant. And he's basically talking to Vin Diesel, you know, and Paul Walker. He's like, man, you know, so what's the deal with y'all? He's like, I used to date his sister, you know, and he's like, oh, well, that's lucky that he didn't kill you. He's like, yeah, basically. And then, you know, Paul Walker's like, well, you know, this guy, he's kind of wanted, you know, pretty bad. You don't think that's trouble? And Vin Diesel's like, if I see flashing lights, I'm not stopping because I'm going away forever. So, you know, basically, you know, it endears him, right? So they're both still trying to investigate. Vin Diesel's obviously trying to find out who killed Letty in this organization, right? So Vin Diesel's checking out the cars, you know, and then Wonder Woman shows up, you know, Gal Gadot, you know, I think her name's Giselle in the movie. She's like, hey man, I think you're cute. And Vin Diesel basically describes Letty, and she's like, that's not me. He's like, I know, I'm not into you like that. Okay, I mean, Letty's dead though, Vin Diesel, and you know, she's expressing some interest, you know, but hey, you're still in mourning. I'll let you have it. Anyways, so they, you know, Vin Diesel thinks he's found the car, right? So now they're going to do the drug run. And they have hidden tunnels to take them into Mexico. So this is why they need skilled drivers. So these drivers, just they drive through, and then they come back, and then it's like, they're going to kill all the drivers. Like, because they feel like, oh, we can get drivers anywhere, right? So they're going to kill them. Vin Diesel, he's kind of figured out what's going to happen. So he kind of unscrews his NOS tank. Car blows up. You know, he sets the lighter, and him and Paul Walker manage to escape with a bunch of the drugs. Paul Walker hides it at the impound lot, and they're like, okay. And he calls the FBI. He's like, hey, I've got the drugs, you know, but we need a deal for Dom. And they're like, no, we're not doing a deal for Dom. Like, he's a criminal. He's like, come on, man, we can catch Braga. At least consider it. And they're like, okay. And then later on, Vin Diesel calls, you know, he finds Letty's phone at the house. It was like police evidence, right? And he calls a number in there. Paul Walker's phone rings. So it turned out Paul Walker was the one running Letty undercover in this organization that got her killed. And Vin Diesel's like, no. And they fight, right? And then Paul Walker's like, hey, man, she was doing it for you. She was trying to clear your name. So Vin Diesel chills out. You know, Paul Walker's like, I'm sorry, man. So anyways, they go to do the deal with Braga. You know, like, well, we'll give you the drugs back, but we got to see Braga. And then Paul Walker works with the FBI. They're going to swarm it. There's this other FBI agent who's just been a dick the whole movie to Paul Walker because he's jealous of him. He calls in everybody in early, even though they're like, that's not Braga, because they just have some old guy come out, because it's always been assumed Braga was old. As this SWAT team converges and goes to make the arrest, picture comes through of who Braga actually is from Interpol, and it's the young guy, the lieutenant they've been working with the whole time. So the guy's been hiding his identity. So that guy, he escapes. He goes back to Mexico. Vin Diesel and Paul Walker get away, and then Vin Diesel, he's pissed off, right? Because he knows, this driver that works for Braga, his name is Phoenix. He's the guy who killed Letty. Based on he had investigated the car. There was like nitro meth or some shit, which is what they found at Letty's scene. So, it's a unique kind of car, essentially, that, was there when Letty died. So Vin Diesel's identified it. And they decided to go back, and get Braga. And Vin Diesel's like, man, I'm not going, to be a hero. I'm going to get revenge. Paul Walker's like, that's fine, man. I mean, if I go with you, that's what it is. So they go, they find Braga, Giselle, Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman helps them find him in a church, and they decide, to do it. Vin Diesel is like, you know what, I could shoot you, but nah, I'm going to do the right thing. Paul Walker puts the handcuffs on, put him in a car, him and Vin Diesel leave, and they get about 5 minutes out of the town, and every fucking dude who worked for Braga is chasing them. Paul Walker's going through the tunnel. He's just trying to get away. Vin Diesel's just wrecking everybody's shit. Just boom, boom, just wrecking all these cars. Just, I'm a badass driver. You guys all fucking suck. He's jumping into other cars, smashing them. And then Phoenix is right after, he's chasing Paul Walker. He manages to hit the car, make the car spin with his boss in the fucking car. Whatever, but, they decide, oh, well, I got Braga back. And he goes to kill Paul Walker. Right? And Paul Walker's just been in this wreck. He's like, oh, I don't know why I'm in worse shape than the other guy who was in the fucking car, but okay. So he goes to kill him, and then Vin Diesel comes coming out of the car. Braga is like, oh shit, what's going on? Phoenix turns, starts shooting at the car. Of course, it's not going to work, shooting at a moving car. Here comes Vin Diesel. Phoenix tries to get out of the way. Paul Walker grabs his leg. Vin Diesel just smashes him and goes, pussy. So boom, Phoenix is dead. Cops show up, bam, Braga's arrested. But Vin Diesel doesn't run. He's like, I'm through running, right? So he's in front of the judge, and the judge is like, look, man, you've had a lifetime of crime, which is not true. Vin Diesel went to jail for 2 years for assaulting a man who killed his dad at a car race on accident, but still, he had a reason for it, and then he started robbing DVD trucks. It's not like he fucking murdered somebody. But this cop is like, no, you're going to jail for the rest of your life. Paul Walker's like, man, what the hell? He just helped us catch a drug dealer who was killing people and making money off of drugs and doing way worse shit than he ever did. So why is Vin Diesel going to jail? And Vin Diesel's like, whatever. So Vin Diesel's sitting on the prison bus. All of a sudden you hear some cars, and Vin Diesel just kind of looks back and grins. And it cuts back. There's Paul Walker in a car. Mia's in a car. And then the two dudes who were helping him rob trucks that weren't Han back at the beginning of the movie. So they decide it's left. It ends there, right? But it's obvious that they're going to break Vin Diesel out of the truck. So then we go to part 5. So they break Vin Diesel out of the truck. They're on the run, and essentially they have to split up, right? Because, obviously all three of them traveling together. Doesn't work because it's Vin Diesel, his sister, and Paul Walker. They're on the run. Paul Walker's back together with Mia. They're in love. It was in the first movie, and it's just kind of carried into the last movie. It just that chemistry reignited. Perfect couple, right? Turns out she's actually pregnant. So they go to work a job with Vince, who lives in Brazil now, right? So they were hanging out with Vince, who's married. He's got a kid going on down there. It's like, yeah, we got a job. Paul Walker's like, I don't know if we should. And Vin Diesel's like, I'm sorry, Vin Diesel. Vince is like, oh man, it's good money. And Paul Walker's like, okay, well, we're broke. I guess we'll do it. So Mia and Paul Walker go to help rob these cars. Vin Diesel shows up last minute. And then it turns out fucking cartel down here too, right? They're starting to murder everybody in the fucking car. They kill some ATF agents or some kind of agents on the car. I don't know. On the train car. Paul Walker and Vin Diesel managed to get away, but they drive a car off a fucking cliff and they land in some water. They get caught by some fucking, by the cartel guys. They manage to escape, find Mia. And then they're like, oh shit, we just pissed off a fucking drug dealer. What's going on? So they decide they're gonna just, rob the fucking drug dealer. Makes sense. Let's just make this a whole fucking heist. So then they're making a plan. They're like, well, what do we need? And they're like, well, basically all the cool people that we knew in the last movies, except for Leon, we're gonna bring back, right? So they bring back, Han. It's like, wait, I'm still confused because Han fucking died, but he's back. What the fuck is that? When did these movies fucking take place? Because I came in this movie thinking, oh, okay, part 4, just kind of the first part of part 4 was before part 3, and then part 3 happened, and then part 4. No, apparently all these fucking movies are happening before part fucking 3. So they bring back Han, they bring back Wonder Woman, they bring back the 2 Brazilian brothers, they bring back fucking Tej, Ludacris with the no afro this time. They bring back Tyrese because now he's comedic black guy instead of tough black guy. And then they need 2 precision drivers. Well, we got that, despite the fact that almost every one of these guys can actually fucking drive. So I don't know why they think that, whatever. Apparently speed racers, can fucking save the fucking day. So they decide they're going to rob the cartels. Well, in the midst of all this, The Rock gets called in. That's right, The Rock, known as Agent Hobbs. He's brought in because of the agents that were killed on the train that they stole the car from. It turned out there was some kind of data chip in one of the cars on the car that had a fuck ton of cash drops. And this is what Vin Diesel and them got. When Mia drove off in a car, then Paul Walker and Vin Diesel went out next, right from the train. We're going back. Sorry. So they've got Vin Diesel's crew has the chip with all the money drops. The Rock and his crew are like, well, we got to go find Toretto and Paul Walker. They killed the agents on there. And it's like, okay. So it's, kind of this constant thing of back and forth. The Rock's trying to chase him down. He's already chased Vin Diesel at one point. Vin Diesel got away. They're all away. And they're like, Vin Diesel's like, we got to split up again. That's when, Vin Diesel found out that his sister was pregnant. So it's like, okay, we're not going to do this. That's why they want to fucking rob the fucking drug dealer, right? Because they need the money for their kids and shit. I don't know what the fuck that's supposed to mean, but here they go. So they've got this whole plan to rob the drug dealer. So the first part of their plan is they rob the first stash house. And they're like, okay, we're going to take this money. And then they're like, you know who you're stealing from? Vin Diesel pulls off his mask, lights the money on fire, and goes, yeah, and you better tell him we're going to do this to the rest of his money. So what they do is they take the money, they move it to one location, right? Instead of having it spread out. That was the whole point of the plan. However, where the plan backfired is they moved it to a fucking police station. What? Because police are apparently always corrupt in South American countries. So here we go. A fucking police station. They're like, oh, the plan's still good. We just got to figure out how to rob the police station. So they're still going with that. The Rock finds them. And they wind up putting a tracker on the Rock's car because the Rock walks up with his crew. They got guns, and Vin Diesel's like, you ain't gonna arrest me. And the Rock's like, yeah, I am, man. I'm a badass motherfucker. I got arms fucking bigger than everybody here. And Vin Diesel's like, I don't give a shit. This is Brazil, dude. And all these dudes pull guns on him. And, meanwhile, Tej is putting a tracker on their car. That way they know what the Rock is doing. So they move on. And the Rock's like, okay, whatever, we'll leave you alone for now, but we're going to get you, motherfucker. And Vin Diesel's like, yeah, I doubt it. So they have the whole plan to rob the police station. Now they go to enact the plan. They've done all this shit to figure out the safe. They've got the handprint of this that's needed to open the safe by getting the drug dealer cartel leader guy to grab Wonder Woman's ass. That's how they got his handprint. They've got everything they need. And right as they're going to enact their plan, everybody but Paul Walker and Mia and Vince and Vin Diesel, they're all out in their positions. That's when The Rock shows up. He's like, oh, that was pretty tricky the way you put that tracker on my car. Took us almost as long to figure out how to flip the signal backwards. So that's how The Rock found him. And they're in a fight, and The Rock's like, I'm going to beat the shit out of you. And Vin Diesel's like, no, you won't. And The Rock's like, I ain't some little bitch. You got to beat with a wrench like you did that sent you to jail the first time. And Vin Diesel's like, whatever, dude. And then, his car gets smashed. They're fighting. They're beating the shit out of each other. And all the other agents are like, you want to step in? And The Rock's like, no, I got this. And then Paul Walker and Mia are like, Dom, please stop. And Dom's like, no. And they're fighting. And now they got a wrench. Fucking Rock tries to hit Vin Diesel with a wrench and he misses. And then Vin Diesel gets the wrench and he's on top and he goes, ah! And he swings and you're like, oh fuck, The Rock is dead. Nah, Vin Diesel learned from his past. So he hits the ground right next to The Rock's head, leaves a dent. The Rock knows he lost the fucking fight. And then he's like, whatever. Vin Diesel gets arrested. And they're going. And then but the cartel leader, even though all his problems are fucking solved, he's not happy. He's got to murder these guys, right? So he just starts shooting the cars, right? He's killing all the Rock's guys. I mean, everybody that's on the Rock's team, they're getting killed. You know, so Paul Walker and Vin Diesel are like, oh, you gotta free us, man. And he's like, no, I'm not letting you out of your handcuffs. Well, there's a girl in the car named Elena, who's from Brazil, with The Rock, and actually recruited very early on because her husband was murdered by the cartel. So she became a cop, to help root out corruption. So she's the one cop in all of Brazil who The Rock trusts. So she's in the car. She kind of bumped into Vin Diesel a few times, thinks he's not a bad guy. She undoes the cuffs. Vin Diesel and Paul Walker and Vince, they all get guns. They go save The Rock. They get him out of there. Vince takes a bullet. He fucking dies. Fucking worthless character anyways. Glad he's fucking gone. He was a hothead dipshit. So now he's dead. And everybody's like, oh no, Vince is dead. But he's got a son named Dom. Because, of course, right? Dom's not dead or anything, but let's name the fucking son Dom. So here we go. Vince is dead and everybody's back together. And like, I guess we should leave. And Vin Diesel's like, I'm not leaving until this is done. And The Rock's like, I'm with you, man. You could have killed me, and then you actually saved my life. So I'm going to help you get back at this guy. But you can't have the money. And they're like, whatever. We just want to teach the guy a lesson. Here they go. They rob, the shit. Paul Walker, Vin Diesel have both hooked up the safe to their car, right? There's one giant safe. They have two cars. They're driving in unison, right? That's why they needed two precision drivers. So they're driving this safe. And then basically Vin Diesel winds up, somehow Paul Walker, is leaving the safe. And he's like, what are you doing? He's like, this was always the plan, right? And it's like, what? And then Vin Diesel manages to take this safe on his car, just drive around, just swing and hit every fucking car on the fucking highway that's trying to kill him. Because Vin Diesel apparently is as good as two precision drivers. So then everything's gone to hell. Paul Walker shows back up. He backs Vin Diesel up. And, he makes a call back to the line earlier in the movie. He's like, I made a call. Had to come help you. And then The Rock shows up. And then the cartel guy's on the ground. And The Rock just pops him in the head. It's like, that's for my team. And then, The Rock walks up and he's like, look, man, I'll give you 48 hours to get away, but I can't let you have the money in the safe. I'm not built that way. And Vin Diesel's like, all right, man, whatever. So then they go back to their garage. They're popping Coronas and celebrating, and turns out they had managed to switch the safes. They had this small little window. They managed to switch the safes. Boom, they open it. They've got the money. Then it cuts back, to The Rock opening the safe, realizes it's empty, and he just smiles. He's like, oh, they got me. It's pretty good, man. It's pretty good. So it ends on this happy note. Everybody got the money, the fucking party, and they get to no extradition countries. And then it gets to the end credits, and Letty's alive. Here comes Eva Mendes, hands The Rock a folder. Letty's back. And it's like, what? But she died. You told me she died in the last movie. This is like Han dying, and he's back. Now Letty's back. Does anybody fucking die? What kind of comic book fucking universe is going on here? Alright, so now we go to Fast 6, right? It opens up, man, these dudes are just, The Rock's trying to catch this guy. He's trying to catch Owen Shaw, right? Caught that earlier, right? I said Hobbs and Shaw. So now we've got a Shaw. It's not the Shaw, though. It's not him. Anyways, so here we go. It's just crazy. Shaw robs some shit. The Rock beats the shit out of some guy in jail. Gina Carano's there with him. She's all buff. Gina Carano, like, I'm a badass too, Gotta have a badass in these movies. And they're beating the shit out of people. They find out, it's Owen Shaw. Find out where the next job is happening. And The Rock's like, I can't do this by myself. And The Rock finds Vin Diesel. He's like, hey, man, you don't have to run. And Vin Diesel's like, I'm not running. This is no extradition. He's like, yeah, I know. But anyways, here's a picture of Letty. And Vin Diesel's like, oh, shit. And then Paul Walker, is talking to Vin Diesel later. He's like, man, I used to do this when I was a cop and an FBI agent. He's just messing with your head, man. Letty's dead. He's like, why would he get us to work for him if, this is a shitty way to do it? Anyways, they agree to do it. They call the team back in. Like it shows like, Rome's on a plane. He's like, hey man, turn the plane around. I gotta go somewhere else. Tej immediately leaves somewhere. Basically, none of them are in America. They're all in all these different places. Giselle and Han are hanging out together. You're like, oh, that's cool. So they all show up, and they're like, and The Rock's like, hey man, I called you guys here. We'll give you a chance to make your family whole. And then Paul Walker's like, you give us pardons and we'll do it. And The Rock's like, I can't do that. And he's like, yes you can, or we walk. So they decide to help The Rock catch Owen Shaw and his team, right? So they go their first night on the job. It's like everybody on the team. They wind up splitting, right? Because one spot's a diversion. Shaw gets everybody there. He's driving there, and then there's another job going on over there. So Vin Diesel's going after Shaw, with The Rock, while everybody else is going after, the rest of the team. Well, they start shooting the fucking hockey pucks at the cars that short the cars out, kind of like the harpoons from Part 2. Well, it works on everybody. Paul Walker, he knows what's going on. But basically, everybody's driving. There's a whole convergence. The Rock jumps on a car. Everybody's, it's all chaos. Everybody's trying to catch everybody. What the fuck's happening? Owen Shaw gets away. Nothing happens. Vin Diesel sees Letty. He's like, hey, Letty. And she goes, shoots him with a gun. And he's like, what the fuck did you shoot me for? We used to be together. And Letty's like, I don't fucking know you. She drives off. Whole thing. They're like, man, I don't know what's happening. So, some shit happens. Basically, you learn a little bit more about Letty. She doesn't have a memory of what's going on. She's with Owen Shaw. They show pictures of her hanging out with Vin Diesel way back in the day. Like, she knows him. She's like, I don't remember shit. And Owen's like, I believe her. And there's all these, this team. Basically, the team all starts putting it together. They're trying to figure out who Owen, where he's getting his equipment. They wind up finding a spot. Boom, somebody dies. He gives up Owen Shaw. Now they know what's going on. Gina Carano chases Letty down. They're in a fist fight in a subway, and they're beating the shit out of each other, even though Gina Carano would never lose in a fight to Michelle Rodriguez. Michelle Rodriguez even knows that. She tackles her down the fucking stairs. Han and Rome, they fight some dude who knows fucking kung fu and beats the shit out of them, and they're just like, don't tell anybody this happened. I'm with you, man. We're not telling anybody. And then they go back, and it's like, oh, shit. So we're going, and then it's like, okay, well, we think we know their plan, though. They're trying to steal something called a nightshade device. Now, a nightshade device in the movie is defined as basically an EMP, right? You can sort out everything, which will fuck shit up. So if they can get that, it's worth tons of fucking money. So it's like, all right, nightshade it is, right? So, they realize where the nightshade is. They move it to a military base, and then here comes Owen Shaw to come get it. Motherfucker's got a tank on the fucking highway. They're running over people. Vin Diesel and everybody has a car. They're in cars dealing with a tank. And they're like, what the fuck are we supposed to do? Vin Diesel's like, improvise. That's what we do. And, they're always on fucking walkie-talkies and shit. And then Rome's about to get run over. Paul Walker saves him. Somebody puts a fucking, wraps the car around the tank. They manage to knock the car over the fucking, it's a big gap in the highway. Tank flips over. Letty's flying off. Vin Diesel jumps across, fucking catches her. They crash on a car. They manage to catch, Owen Shaw. They take him inside the base. Like, we got him. Like, you got your pardons. And then it's like, everybody's like, well, why is Letty free? And they're like, no, she's with us. Man, that was part of the deal. And Owen Shaw's like, guys, I got your family. So Owen Shaw has managed to capture Mia and Paul Walker's first baby. I say first because he has another baby later in the next movie. Don't worry, it's not a big deal. So, here we go, right? Like, they caught her, and they're like, oh, shit, we got to let her go. And The Rock's even on Vin Diesel's side. He's like, look, I know I'm a big service guy, but, yeah, man, this changes everything, man. We got to let this guy go. So then they let him go. Turns out Gina Carano's been a fucking mole all along. Man, it's all fucking crazy, right? Then they fucking leave. They get on this runway that is the longest fucking runway ever. Now remember, these cars all drive 200 fucking miles per hour, right? They're driving down this runway for 30 fucking minutes or more. Like, I realize it's the scene of the movie, but come on, man. Somebody did the math, and this runway is like, you could add, I think, the top 3 runways in the world together, and it's not even the length of this fucking runway, right? So they managed to, get on. Owen Shaw's got his own plane. All these cars are gonna stop fucking planes, right? They're shooting harpoons and shit into the plane. They're knocking all the other cars around. Vin Diesel is up on the fucking plane. The Rock's on the plane. Owen Shaw's on the plane. Some big motherfucking no-neck dude, and then Gina Carano and Michelle Rodriguez. So it's got a battle royale on the fucking plane. Vin Diesel hits a big no-neck motherfucker with a headbutt. Then The Rock beats the shit out of him. His WWF style. Just beating the shit out of these guys, right? That man has to fucking get away. Owen Shaw doesn't die, but he's in a fucking coma. Wonder Woman dies. Han is all depressed. Everybody's like, oh, we're so happy, except, oh, she's dead. This sucks. But they get their pardons. They're back home. They're having a barbecue. Call back to the first movie. Somebody grabs the chicken first. And Paul Walker's like, oh, they say grace. They ate the chicken first. And it's like, oh, okay. And then Letty's like, well, how do you feel? And he's like, oh, it feels good. It feels like I'm home. And then Yelena, who's been hooked up with Vin Diesel, she's like, I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to do now. I guess I'm going to let you and Letty hook up. Deuces. And she leaves, and then movie ends, everybody's happy. The Rock shows up. He's like, yeah, here's your pardons. And it's all gravy. It's all smooth, right? Everybody's happy. Well, then we cut to the end scene. And it cuts back to Han's death. And it's Jason Statham. Kills Han. Jason fucking Statham! Don't know who he is or why he killed Han. Find out in the next movie. This is the Shaw, right? This is the Shaw and Hobbs and Shaw. And, so we're just going to call him Shaw. Deckard Shaw, right? But for all intents and purposes, he's just Shaw, his brother's Owen. Fuck the rest of this shit. So he kills Han. So we get to the next movie. And it starts out with, basically Han's death. Well, it actually starts out with Jason Statham at the hospital with his brother Owen. And he's like, yo, man, you always picked fights with all these big bullies, and I had to go save your ass. And here you go again, picking a fight with a big fucking bully. Don't worry, though. I'm going to go fuck these guys up. I got you. And then it cuts out, and it's like this hallway, this hospital is just demolished, right? It's just, stuff's broken. There's been explosions. There's been a fucking fight. Nobody knows what the fuck's going on, right? And he looks at a nurse or a doctor. He's like, anything happens to my brother, I'm coming back. She's like, I got you. So he leaves. And then it cuts, it cuts to The Rock. He's working in his office. Yelena's there working with him. And Yelena's, about to leave. She's like, hey, you should go home. He's like, woman, don't tell me to go home. And then, okay. And then as he got up to check on something, he turns around and now Deckard Shaw's on his computer. And he's like, hey, man, why are you on my computer? And Deckard's like, just chill, man. I know what I'm doing. He's like, no. Why are you on my computer? He's like, I'm looking for the people that took down my brother Owen. He's like, it weren't people. It was me. He's covering for Vin Diesel and them, right? And he's like, nah, I know better. So, Shaw manages to get the records of all these guys. He blows fucking Vin, they get into a big fucking fight. He throws a grenade. Boom, they explode. But, Yelena came back. The Rock grabs Yelena. He basically wraps her up, so he takes the impact on the ground. Of course, he just breaks his fucking arm. Falls out of a 10-story fucking building, and just only break his arm because he's the fucking Rock, man. He lives up to his fucking name. That man is fucking eye candy, man. He just don't play. So here we go, man. The Rock's like, oh, I'm in the hospital, and Vin Diesel's like, okay. Vin Diesel's home with Paul Walker, and all of a sudden a bomb goes off on their fucking porch. Oh my God! It almost kills their son. I mean, not Vin Diesel, Paul Walker's son. Obviously, Paul Walker, Mia's son. And Vin Diesel's like, oh, this is some bullshit. And then he gets a phone call, and it's Shaw calling. And it's the phone call that he made at the end of part 6. It's like, you don't know me, but you will. And that's how they find out about Han dying. And, so Vin Diesel goes to the hospital, and The Rock is like, this is who the guy is, right? Unofficially, go get the guy, but officially, you're supposed to stay away. And he's like, I got him. And then, The Rock's like, just don't miss. And Vin Diesel's like, nah, I got you. And they're like, we're brothers, man. At least for one more movie. And then we're going to get pissed at each other and stop making movies together. And The Rock's going to go do spinoffs that piss everybody off. Tyrese is going to be like, why are you doing a spinoff? It's all good, though. So then we get, that Han's funeral, you know. And Paul Walker's like, you know he's here watching, right? Like, yeah, I know. Vin Diesel leaves the funeral, and he goes and he finds Shaw, and then they decide to play a game of chicken, except neither one's chicken. Boom! They crash the car. And then it's like, oh my god, Vin Diesel's car gets fucked up. But, you know, Jason Statham's car is fine. And Vin Diesel gets out and he's like, hey man, reinforced, chassis? That's like bringing weighted gloves to a fight. And then Shaw's like, what, you thought this was a street fight? I'm a fucking government assassin, dude. He's about to shoot him, and then all of a sudden some fucking shadow motherfuckers show up. Boom, they all just coming out of the... And then Kurt Russell shows up. He's like, hey man, I just saved your life. You need to come work with me. And brings the whole team in. They're like, we want to catch Shaw, but really we have this other priority. We want to get this piece of software called God's Eye. And it's developed by a hacker named Ramsey. What God's Eye does is basically it just kind of snakes through everything and it lets you find where somebody's at. So it'll go through cell phones, cameras, any recording device, any audio, and it just uses that to track somebody down and pinpoint their exact location. So the deal is if Vin Diesel helps steal it, or helps retrieve it, I guess, shouldn't say steal it, then they will let Vin Diesel use it to track down, Shaw. And Vin Diesel's like, all right, cool. So they go to this other country where Ramsey's been kidnapped because the whole fucking country has kidnapped her. They parachute their cars down. Boom, they go. They manage to fucking get her and steal it. And it's like she tells they get Ramsey. It's Missandei from Game of Thrones. I can't think of her name off the top of my head. Sorry. Anyways, so here's Ramsey. She's like, hey, you're alpha, female alpha, ex-cop, tech guy, and she calls I forget what she calls Rome, but he's like, I'm also an alpha because he's turning to comic relief, right? She's like, yeah, I gave the God's Eye to my friend, I don't know his fucking name, to for safekeeping. So okay, so the friend's like, oh yeah, I put it in this car that this Saudi Arabian guy who's been got, and it's like $1 billion car or some shit. It's at some party. So they decide to go, this party and get it. Somehow Shaw is there. Ronda Rousey's there. Fucking here we go again. Another woman that could honestly kick the shit out of Michelle Rodriguez. But somehow she wins the fucking fight again against Ronda Rousey. And this is, post Ronda Rousey's fucking head kick. So I guess she's just still fucking woozy from that. I don't know what the fuck's happening. So Michelle Rodriguez like, I beat your ass. And then Paul Walker and Vin Diesel are like, hey, here's this expensive car. And Paul Walker's like, how do you lock this car up? And Vin Diesel's like, I don't know. But we're going to steal this fucking car, right? And of course we are. So here's Shaw. He's shooting them. Of course they get in this expensive ass fucking car. They jump the car to the next fucking building. It's all fucking crazy. Vin Diesel's like, yeah, you missed it. You should quit this life, man. You got a second baby on the way. And he's like, yeah, I know, but this is cool, man. This is fun. I don't know why the fuck people judging me, Vin Diesel. Why are you judging me? We're brothers, man. Why are you trying to get me out this life? And Vin Diesel's like, I'm really not trying to get you out this life. But, for those who don't know, Paul Walker died during the filming of this, right? So I don't know if the intent was always to get Paul Walker out of these movies during this movie, or if they retrofitted the script to kind of make that happen. Either way, that's where the movie's going. I will admit, watching this movie, I'm watching it just going, how are they going to kill him off, right? Because, you want him to go noble, right? So, but I'm going to go ahead and spoil this. He doesn't die. So, but they're leading up to, getting Paul Walker's character out of his life. And it's kind of a theme through the movie. So, now they've got God's Eye. They go back to Kurt Russell. They give it to Kurt Russell. Like, look, we did our job. And Kurt Russell hands it right back to Vin Diesel and says, okay, let's use it to go get Shaw. And Paul Walker, Vin Diesel, and a team, they go to get Shaw. Shaw's fucking waiting for him. He's got a fucking grenade there waiting. And then, Vin Diesel sits down with him. He's like, I'm prepared to die. You prepared to die? He's like, they start talking. Then, basically, Jason Statham goes, you know what I found out? You got a lot of enemies, and I got make good friends of mine. And Vin Diesel's like, well, I don't got friends, I got family. Jason Statham goes, well, I have a lot of friends. And then that fucking government military that had God's Eye, they all show up, chaos fucking ensues. Bad guys get God's eye. Oh shit! But there's still a flaw in the plan that Ramsey's still out there because she's smart enough. She can probably come up with a way to shut down God's eye. Essentially, she's the one who wrote it. She obviously knows most about it. Now there's this whole plan for this fucking foreign government to come in and kill fucking Ramsey in Los Angeles. So Vin Diesel's like, we got this whole city though. So they come up with this whole plan of playing keep away with Ramsey in a car. Like, oh, you're going to drive, and we're going to drive. We're going to put you in this car. We're going to put you in this car. And Vin Diesel's like, I got Shaw though, because he's going to show up. So they're going to fucking fight, while everybody else is running around. And that whole shit's going on. They manage to get God's eye, fucking steal it back somehow. Vin Diesel's fucking fighting Jason Statham. They ram cars again. Vin Diesel gets a shotgun. He's like, oh, you thought this was going to be a street fight? And then he goes, you goddamn right it is. Pulls out 2 fucking metal rods, 2 fucking wrenches or some shit. Fucking Jason Statham gets on. They're in a fucking fist fight for hell, right? Like, brrr, just beating the shit out of each other. And then it comes out, they're fighting. Letty can't remember anything the whole fucking movie, despite the fact it turned out that her and Vin Diesel had actually gotten married somewhere in one of these fucking movies. So here we go. It's fucking crazy. Everybody's fucking, it's crazy. Everybody's shooting each other. Everybody's dying. Paul Walker's still alive. They managed to fucking beat Jason Statham. The Rock locks him up. He's like, motherfucker, you try and get out of this jail. I'll be waiting for you, and I'm going to beat your ass. And Jason Statham's like, whatever, man. You think this jail's going to hold me? And then, Paul Walker decides to leave the life, right? And that's how the movie ends. It ends with this montage, Wiz Khalifa, and the song, I'll See You Again. It plays. They do a montage of Paul Walker. It's really sad, tearjerker moment, man. I'm not even kidding. It was actually, really fitting tribute. His character didn't die. He just retired in this world. Kind of a silly thing in some ways, because now we get to part 8. Paul Walker's still retired. Everybody else still on the team, though. Shaw's still in jail. The Rock's, he's around. So what happens is, starts out Vin Diesel. He's in, another South American fucking town. He's got family down there. I think it's Cuba, actually. I say South America, but it's actually Cuba. But, so Vin Diesel gets in a street race, and he basically strips his nephew's car down to just essentially the engine and a seat. And he's racing, and, he pisses off, this crime guy in town. Vin Diesel's racing. They're, of course, it's getting crazy. Crime guys sending motorcycles after him. Vin Diesel's car catches on fire. It only drives in reverse. So here he's driving in reverse, the fucking car on fire and shit. And he wins the race, drives the car into the ocean, walks up to the guy. He's like, hey, keep your money or whatever the fuck they were betting. I don't even remember. Like, I just want your respect. And then he gives his nephew his car. So his nephew has the best car in town. Everybody's cool. And then the next day, Charlize Theron is like, oh, my car's broke down. Vin Diesel's like, well, I can help you. Charlize Theron's like, nope, bitch. And she whispers something in his ear. And you're like, I don't know what's going on. Well, then The Rock's like, hey, Vin Diesel, I need your team again for another job because I still like to associate with criminal elements to help me save the day. So they go and they manage to steal something from somebody else, to prevent them from using it. And then Vin Diesel betrays the team, rams The Rock. The Rock's like, I'm going to get you. And then Vin Diesel's like, I don't care. And then he drives off, and we don't know what the fuck's going on. The Rock goes to jail for some reason. I guess because he was disavowed. I don't know what the fuck's going on. He's in the same jail as Jason Statham. Kurt Russell shows up, and he's like, hey, man, I can get you out of here. And he's like, no, I'm going to fight this in court. I didn't do anything wrong, right? I was doing my job. It's like, okay, fine. Well, the jail cell sorts out. The Rock walks out. He's looking at the camera. He's like, Mr. Nobody. That's Kurt Russell's character, right? He didn't even have a name. He's like, Mr. Nobody. Hey, I don't want to do this. And then, all these, security guards show up. And they're like, hey, man, what are you doing? Getting them down. And the Rock's like, okay, I'll get back in my jail cell. And then Jason Statham, who's in the jail cell across the fucking way, he grabs a stun baton, puts it in the fucking ceiling, with the locked doors open, turns into a whole fucking prison riot. They're fucking fighting each other. Jason Statham's kicking the shit out of guards. The Rock is kicking the shit out of guards, trying to get to Jason Statham. A guard shoots The Rock, but it's a rubber bullet, and The Rock's just like, it's a rubber bullet, man. What the fuck? Beats the shit out of him. They manage to both get out, and Kurt Russell shows up. He's like, you guys are a little slower than I expected, but come on, dudes. So he takes him back, here they're all on the Interpol's wanted list. Fucking, they're all in the top 10. Letty's on there. Tej is on there. Rome is number 11 though, so he's kind of upset. And they're like, we don't want to work with this guy. He killed Han, right? And they're like, yeah, but here's the thing. He can actually track down Vin Diesel, and stuff. So, we kind of need him, right? He's actually got some history with Ramsey, who's that Charlize Theron's character. She's like this grand hacker running the whole Shadow organization. And as these movies have gone on, as I said before, it's some comic booky shit. Right? Because now Ramsey runs this whole shadow hacker organization that has apparently been responsible for every shitty thing basically since part 4. Because she ran Owen Shaw after Deckard Shaw wouldn't work for her, so she got Owen Shaw to do some shit for her. Owen Shaw was running Braga, and it's just this whole fucking thing that tracks all the way back up to Charlize Theron. In movies, right? Somehow she's convinced Vin Diesel to work for her. It turns out that, Vin Diesel had a baby with Yelena. Which, once again, when the fuck did this happen? Because we've seen Yelena through all the movies. So unless Vin Diesel was fucking running around on Letty after the, part 6, doesn't make any sense that Yelena was pregnant. Because she immediately showed up in part 7. Unless there was a fucking severe gap in these movies that we're unaware about. But that's how she's, Charlize Theron's got Vin Diesel to turn on everybody. She's captured Yelena and Vin Diesel's baby. Obviously, Vin Diesel's whole thing is family is more important. So here we go. The Rock, Vin Diesel's team, Jason Statham, they're all trying to catch Vin Diesel. And, Ramsey, I'm calling her fucking Ramsey. Cypher's her fucking name. Ramsey's, the hacker who's been with him. Sorry about that. Anyway, so Cypher, Charlize Theron, they're trying to catch her. She's got this whole plan to, I don't know, set off a nuclear weapon or some shit. I mean, these movies are getting bigger and bigger and bigger and crazier, right? So here we go. Vin Diesel's like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. And Cypher's hacked all these fucking cars that have auto driving. They're fucking giving a distraction. Well, finally, Vin Diesel's team manages to catch him, right? And they're sitting there. They've got Vin Diesel trapped. They all shoot harpoons into the fucking car. They're trying to stop him. Somehow Vin Diesel manages to get out of this fucking trap. And then Deckard Shaw, he's like, I'm going to chase Vin Diesel down. Vin Diesel kills him, right? It's like, oh no, he's dead. Don't worry, because, I've already mentioned there's another movie called Hobbs and Shaw, so he's not dead. Spoiler, ding ding. So here we go, the movie's going, Vin Diesel gets away, and it's like, oh shit. So Charlize Theron has some whole fucking plot to steal a Russian submarine. I don't know, like I said, she wants a nuclear weapon, she wants to shoot it to show the world. It's a whole fucking convoluted thing, guys. I don't know what's going on with this. But it's fucking cool because they're driving fast fucking cars. So here we go. They're fucking driving on the snow and the ice. Here come, The Rock and everybody. They're determined to stop it. They've got their own hacker, Ramsey, to hack back. They're boom, just all this hullabaloo back and forth. They're fighting Charlize Theron's guys. They're fighting Russian guys. Vin Diesel's there. He's with fucking Tormund from Game of Thrones. And he's like, hey, I'm a killer. Vin Diesel's like, dude, I'll fuck you up, man. You better be glad you got my baby. Because the thing is, the baby requires, a 2 fucking part authentication to open the fucking door. They've killed the baby's mom, Yelena, to send a message to Vin Diesel when he wouldn't kill Letty before, because Letty was chasing him down after he shot Shaw, right? So it's the whole thing. And then, so it turns out Shaw's not dead. Vin Diesel had actually went and met Shaw's mother. He's like, hey, I'm sorry about you. Your other son is in a coma. This is what happened. And she's like, okay, fine. I'll talk to my son. And, so Shaw decides, he's going to work with Vin Diesel. So the death was all fake, right? So he gets in the ambulance and his mom is there. And she's like, hey, man, you need to get your brother and go, get Cypher. Because Vin Diesel managed to put a tracker on the plane. So Vin Diesel, who had left this necklace on the plane, it actually had a tracker in it, right? So he left it for his baby. Oh, so here comes both Shaws, boom, they land on the plane. And, they're just fucking everybody up, right? Just boom, 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 boom. So they managed to get the baby. And that's when, Charlize Theron realizes, oh shit, I'm fucked. The Shaws are here. She calls Vin Diesel, and he's like, hey, I just got 2 killers on your plane. You fucked up coming after me. I'm gonna wreck your fucking day. He kills Tormund, just picks him up, chokes him to fucking death. Then he goes out, he flips sides, obviously he's back on the good guy's side. He manages to take out a fucking submarine with a fucking car, Cypher gets away. The Shaws jump out of the fucking plane like, oh, god damn it, she got away. And everybody's like, oh, but Vin Diesel's back. He's our friend again. And then this fucking fire comes over him, and all the cars fucking circle him because apparently fire can't travel under or over cars. So Vin Diesel's safe in the circle of cars. You know, now he knows his son is okay. They're back in some fucking high-rise apartment. I don't know what the fuck is going on. You know, Jason Statham shows up, even though he killed Han. Apparently that's all fucking good because, you know, he brought Vin Diesel's son back. But hey, everybody's happy, and, you know, they decide to name the baby. They name him Brian, which is fucking weird because Brian is still alive in this world. Just like it was weird for Vince to name his son Dom. It's weird because Brian might still come over for a fucking barbecue. It's like, oh, hey, Uncle Brian, I'm named after you, even though you're not dead. They should have named him fucking Paul. But anyways, ends on a happy note. We get to Fast and the Furious 9. You know, we have a Hobbs and Shaw spinoff that goes on the side. We see what The Rock and Shaw are up to. I don't know, man. I'm kind of excited to see 9. They bring in John Cena. You can't see him, you know, because, hey, if you can't get The Rock, you get John Cena. That's just how these things work. So, anyways, been fun telling this story. Obviously, a little long-winded. Hope you enjoyed it. You got anything, you know, you want to let me know about, just feel free to leave me a comment. You know, you want me to tell any other stories, any feedback, I'd welcome it. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever it is. Enjoy you.
Can't say that I'm ambitious, I just get shit done. I'm better